The trials by a private Queensland-based company are a culmination of more than 10 years of research which aims to identify which varieties of hemp do best, under what conditions, and where the best growing areas are. Phil Warner, Managing Director for industrial hemp producer Ecofibre Industries, says hemp is a great fibre crop that can be used to make things like insulation, plastic and fabrics. But no, you can't smoke it.
90% of the species of cannabis do not have any quantifiable drug that's of any value to that industry whatsoever. So number one. The other issue that is really important is that the seed does not contain any of the mind-altering stuff, even in the minusculest amount that you could think of. And there is a difference between cannabis and marijuana, or industrial hemp and marijuana.
So what's involved in growing industrial hemp for fibre here? Phil Warner says it's grown best under irrigation here in Australia, on well-drained soils, and once it's established, it's a pretty hardy crop.
Plant in early spring or mid-spring, get in before the summer weeds start to emerge. You know, you have a reasonable amount of nitrogen and all the basic units in there. We would talk about 120 units of N basically to get it up. Then you maintain the water to it so that it's got a good growth, early stage growth. It'll get to about 8 weeks and be around your waist. After that, that's when it's establishing. After that, it pretty much shoots away and gets up to 4 metres by the next, let's say, 2.5 months. So it really does power ahead during those high summer months. It sort of tapers off early to late February. It starts to slow down in its production, and that's when it matures, and that's when you harvest it. So you harvest it by going in basically with a specialised mower. You chop it up in a 600mm billet, so the 4 metres of crop at about 100 plants per square metre is chopped down, cut into, say, roughly half-metre billets, put into a windrow. Then it's raked from side to side so it dries evenly, and then you put a specialised forage harvester with a grass pickup through it, blow that into a bull buggy and then make a module out of it, and then take it to the primary processing mill where you separate the outer bast fibre from the inner wood herd.
But what if there isn't an industrial hemp processing mill in Australia to separate the outer fibre and the hemp's interior pith? Well, here at a cotton gin at Carroll in northwest New South Wales, a trial's underway to see if using a cotton gin to process the harvested hemp is actually viable.
I mean, the cotton gin is not necessarily designed for hemp by any stretch. But if we can actually tie this in and we can actually produce a good saleable product with this area, then we use basically everything from the module making equipment right through to the ginning process. And it's hemp will actually sit around for a couple of years without any degrading whatsoever. So this means that a gin like this would potentially be able to work longer seasons doing the cotton season and then converting over to doing hemp in the downtime, therefore making them more viable. But I mean, that's a fanciful plan at this stage. We don't know whether it goes through and whether the product is good enough, but we will find out. I mean, we're sending this material off to two places, two of the remaining few industries in Australia that could do something with it. One's in Tasmania, where they process wool and they make it into woolen blankets and scarves and things like that. It's one of the last wool spinning and weaving facilities in Australia. And the other one is up in Queensland, where they're making woolen insulation bats. And we believe that the combination between hemp and wool is extremely good because they're similar length of fibre and a similar micron. The hemp is a breathable material in a different way to wool is, and it also repels silverfish and things like that. So the wool hemp blend is a very good blend from all sorts of perspectives, and we hope that it might be able to fit in there.
The manager of the cotton gin being used in this hemp processing trial is Scott Davies. He reckons he's not too worried about opening the gin up to the cannabis crop because it's got similar properties to cotton.
We have an industrial agricultural plant that only operates typically between 4 to 6 months per annum. To be able to make the facility operational for those other dormant months is certainly quite appealing.
The hemp's no longer running through at the moment. There's a bit of a problem with the auger. What else has gone wrong?
Nothing too typical. We really haven't modified anything in order to process it today. The whole day has been about understanding what effect different parts of the plant have on the hemp. So it's about breaking up the plant into certain areas and then processing it in those certain areas.
There are some pretty woody bits coming out.
Typically the cotton that we get in is raw seed cotton from the field, which has a lot of husks and bolls and things like that from the cotton plant itself. The cotton plant itself is actually quite a woody plant, and so the equipment is designed to separate the sticky woody trash from the cotton. So it's no really different to the hemp.
Well, the trial's been going a few hours now. What are your thoughts?
Oh, certainly it's promising. We need to both parties need to go away and work out how we can better do it, whether it's financially viable and what sort of markets the results have.
It's coming out really fluffy.
Yes. So typically what we do with cotton is aerate it and fluff it up because it's easier for it to process once it's in that state. So it's about mixing the product with a lot of air so that it processes easier. And that's typically what all our pre-cleaning equipment does, is aerates it and separates all the particles.
Will this be able to be baled as per usual?
I'll get a couple of bales out today. As I say, we've simplified the process and run it through a couple of areas and not through the whole plant itself. So if the trials work out, then we'll certainly put a bit of time and effort into getting some consistent production out of it.
Your workers seem very keen.
The guys, we've just finished our season, so they're interested to try something different. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been tried before in Australia, and